Hello, dear ones. We're going to continue the topic, change your mind. And this is the second part. Nirmala will speak a little bit, and then I'll speak later on.
When I was first at Ananda many, many years ago, I was going through a very difficult time at one point, and Swami Kriyananda knew about this and gave me a piece of advice that I have never forgotten. He said, "I know it's very difficult right now, but put your hand in Divine Mother's hand and do everything with her." And then he also gave another piece of advice, which was, forget about yourself and serve. And through the years, whenever I've had difficult times, I've remembered those two things, and they've helped me very much. And I hope that you will meditate on them too and see if they can help you. Right now, it's difficult when we're sequestering in place, sheltering in place, to figure out how to serve others. But a very important way of doing that is simply the telephone. Call people you love, call your neighbors, call people from your church who are all alone, and just check in with them and see how they're doing and see if there's something that you can laugh about together, something that you can inspire each other about. And maybe there's a way you can help too. If you're able to go out, if you take precautions and are very careful, you might be able to do an errand for an elderly friend. But it's very important in these days to flatten the curve, as the saying is, and stay at home. California is doing very well through this method, and I hope that it will have a very good effect. But there are things you can do at home, not only calling people and trying to cheer people up and help if you can, but there's a shortage of masks right now. You could help by making masks or calling other people who are in projects, and maybe there's a project at home that you can do to help right now. Another very key element to this is to pray and ask God for help. I was remembering a amusing, in retrospect, amusing thing that happened to me. In the early 90s, when we were just starting to do desktop publishing, Dharmadas and I were working for Crystal Clarity Publishers, which is the publishing company that Swami Kriyananda started. And we were just learning these things, and in order to see a printout of a cover design for a book, for example, I had to drive from Nevada City all the way down to Rancho Cordova, as it happened, and wait for some hours while they processed my file, and then I would get to see this match print. And then I would drive all the way back home. It was 2 hours. And then overnight I would make corrections and then drive down the next day. So this went on for some time like this. It was very complicated in those days. Now it's a breeze in comparison, but that's how it was then. And this one time, it was late at night, it was dark, it was a driving rainstorm, and I didn't think I could make it home if I didn't have a cup of coffee. So I it was very tired, very sleepy after many days of this routine. And I stopped the car, kept it running, got out of the car, and inadvertently locked myself out. So there I was, standing in the rain. I was locked out of my car. I didn't have the keys. And all I could do was pray. What can you do except pray? And an angel appeared in the form of this huge black man. And he was jovial, he was kind, he was funny. And between the two of us, he managed to find a coat hanger, and there was a small space in the window. I'd left the window down just enough. And he helped me, standing out there in the rain, he helped me to get the door unlocked, and I was able to drive home. So I've always thought of that as the power of prayer. When everything seems utterly hopeless, God sends an angel.
Changing our minds is also, in a very practical way, something that we can have an influence over by different exercises in yoga. And this is, of course, a very profound science, not something that we can completely cover in a short video. But I'll just share one little exercise that is extremely helpful to do. This has been sort of affectionately dubbed triangle breathing. Triangle in the sense of an equilateral triangle equal on three sides. The idea being that we inhale to a certain count, say 4, 5, 6. For the purposes of this, we'll do 4. We hold to the same count, we exhale to the same count, and then we start again inhaling. And it has a very profound effect. We breathe through the nose, if you can comfortably do that. And let's just try this together. We'll just do this 2 different times. I'll count the breaths. So close your eyes. If you're comfortable sitting upright, try to do that away from the back of the chair if you are sitting on a chair. Otherwise, that's fine to just be however you are. You can even do this flat on your back if you like. But begin inhaling now through the nose. Then hold the breath. And exhale. And do this one more time. Inhale. Hold the breath. And exhale. And of course you can go higher, you can go longer counts if it's comfortable to do that. You can go 5, 6, 8, even 12 if you can do that. You don't want to get out of breath doing this exercise. But it has a calming influence. It has a very stabilizing influence. As I mentioned, this is a very deep science, the science of how the breath affects, reflects, and influences the mind. I think we all know that when we're agitated, if we're upset, especially if we're angry, the breath is pumping and it's sort of, it reflects that agitation. And then to a certain extent, it even exacerbates that upset. On the other hand, if the breath is calm, then we tend to be able to relate to whatever is coming to us in life at its own level, and without sort of reacting violently to it or reacting in an ineffective way. So it's really important to just observe the breath and practice that at a time when we're not having to react to something, but to just learn that skill, learn that art of controlling the breath There's a word in Sanskrit that has become more common in our parlance, pranayam. Pranayama is how it looks on the page. It's pronounced pranayam. It means energy control, but since the breath and the energy are so intimately linked, it really affects our energy to control the breath, to learn to operate the breath in a systematic way. So that's just a simple little exercise, but it's something you can practice anytime. You could even practice it driving, although I would recommend that you keep your eyes on the road. But for those of us at home, we have time to explore and experiment with different techniques that we may be unfamiliar with, and this is one of them. And it really does have an effect on the mind.